As soon as we were born, the soul begins to teach us how to live from the outside in. But in the realms of the spirit, we must now learn how to live from the inside out. That means we have to establish the kingdom within before we're even prepared or equipped or trustable to rule and reign the nations. Many of you that are under the hearing of these words have been tested and tried. You've been brought along the way in your spiritual migration through many trials and through many temptations because the Lord has been preparing you for the life of the overcomer. The word says when we overcome to the end, He will give us a rod of authority to rule the nations. And I'm here to tell you today that is happening right now, okay? He says when we overcome to the end, He's going to give us a new name, a new nature. That nature is the restoration of our Shekinah glory, the glory that we had with God before the earth was ever created. But what this causes is it sets up a war between your soul, which has been in control a long time, and your spirit, which is just now emerging and the revealing of which is just about ready to unfold. That's why the word says, your spirit lusts against your flesh lusts against the spirit, till you cannot do the thing you desire to do, and the thing you hate, you do anyway, because your soul has still been in control. Therefore, as we take back that spirit body that we have and begin to put it back in the command position, all of that is going to stop. The warfare is going to stop. All of the... I'm going into a preaching mode. Sorry, we got to get through this teaching. The word says in John 3:6, that which is born of flesh is flesh. That which is born of spirit is spirit. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, there is a terrestrial body and a celestial body. So I want you all to become consciously aware of the fact that inside of you there's a celestial body that's made of 100% pure light. Actually, it's light and water and frequency. And begin to speak to that body and to begin to command that body to come back into its governing position over the soul realm. When we were born again, our spirit begins the process of remembering who we are or where we came from. But the soul and body that have been in charge a whole long time are not going to give up their control easily. Your whole spiritual migration has been for the purpose of revealing your spirit man. You've been brought by the Lord, led by the Lord. Every trial, every tribulation, everything that has happened in your life has been for a purpose. A lot of people say, well, what would be the purpose of my father abusing me? What would be the purpose of me enduring tribulation? What would be the purpose of me having lack in relationships? What would be the purpose? We look and we say, oh, the devil, the devil, the devil. But the word says, count it all joy, the trying of your faith. For the trying of your faith works patience. And these tribulations, which are for the moment extremely unpleasant, will work in you the far greater and eternal weight of my glory. That's the word of the Lord. Every step of your life has been ordered by Him in order to bring you to the place that you're standing today, so that you can identify with Jesus, the man of sorrow, acquainted with grief, stricken, smitten, afflicted, rejected, who learned obedience by the things He suffered. Wow! If we could just lay hold of that one principle, we'd be liberated and set free. Just because we're born again doesn't mean that our spirit gets instantaneously regains its command. It's a process. Our spiritual growth comes line upon line, precept upon precept, stone upon stone, here a little, there a little. It doesn't all just happen overnight that our spirit regains the control position over our soul. We're still subject to our feelings, to our mind, to our will, to our emotions. All of those things can still control us until we take back that primordial position. Finding out what is written on our scroll demands complete surrender. I tell people all the time, coming to Jesus costs nothing. It's a free gift. The word says in Romans, by grace are you saved through faith, not of your own works, lest any man should boast. It is the free gift of God. You know, it used to bother the tar out of me. Only a couple chapters later, it says, now we must work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. That doesn't say Jesus is going to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. We have to work out our own salvation. The free gift is for our spirit man. And the very second we confess with our mouth and believe in our heart Jesus is Lord, we are already exalted to the right hand of God the Father Almighty, a joint heir to the kingdom of heaven with Jesus Christ. We're already made perfect at that moment because Jesus has now imputed to us His righteousness. We can't get more righteous or more pure than that. But our soul and our body, that part that is created, that part that is temporal, still is full of all kinds of stuff that has to be dealt with. We're still full of the dickens. So our whole life process is working out our own salvation. Whoa! I love that. When we become so open to Him that we make ourselves so vulnerable that we now withhold nothing, then all of a sudden He will open up the understanding of what is contained in your scroll and what is written down in the heavens before you were ever even born. If we do that, the Lord will begin to reveal to us everything that has been, because He's wanting us to be co-workers together with Him to uncover the mystery of the ages that has been hidden in Christ Jesus since the very beginning. That's Christ in us, the hope of glory. He will open up our scrolls and actually allow us to access the information inside of those scrolls. The reason that He's going to open it up is so that we can become the vessels of light that He created us to be, and we can become the perfect reflections of the Word as it is in the heavens, so let it be done in the earth. Our scroll then can begin to be decreed and declared into the heavenly realms. So the thing that is written up there will now manifest itself in the earth realm. Many of you that have been involved in Ascension groups, you've been decreeing and declaring some things, and those things have begun to manifest in your life. And the greatest majority of you will say that you've grown more in the last 2 years than you have in the last 20 or 30 years. And the reason is because your spirit is stepping into its control position. When He allows us to actually read what is written down in our scroll, we'll be totally blown away. This does not happen at one moment in time. Actually, everything is encompassed in it's a journey, people. It's a journey. Your spiritual migration comes a little bit by a little bit. Therefore, what the Lord is doing is He's testing you. He's seeing, are you going to be responsible to do what He's revealed to you already? When you're responsible to do the little things, then He increases those things with every successive revelation that comes concerning your scroll. Our scroll, as we begin to decree and declare it, opens up and knocks the hinges off of every single door in any kingdom realm, because the whole purpose of the kingdom is to establish the sovereignty of God inside of every dimension of every realm that has ever been created. He will only unroll the scroll bit by bit because He can only trust us a little bit at a time. But trust me, if you'll just do the first thing that's written on your scroll, you'll be totally blown away by where that takes you. I just spent 3 hours last night on the phone with someone that I prophesied over 25 years ago that would have a very dynamic, globally recognized ministry in Washington, D.C. They started out in the same way as I started out. Just take the next step. Just do the next thing written on your scroll. And today they have a ministry that is ministering in the State Department, in the White House, in the Congress. Why? Because they were faithful to do the first thing written on their scroll. He unrolls it a little bit at a time. And one thing that I want to say too is that every person's scroll is very uniquely configured. Therefore, your understanding of your scroll might come in a totally different way than my understanding came. In fact, the first time I was in a heavenly ascension, the Lord gave me this huge basket of very, very heavy scrolls and told me to come back to the earth and deliver these and put them into the hands of men and women I was doing a conference with. These scrolls were so heavy, I could hardly even stand up because there were many, many of them in this basket. At the conference, I went to hand out all of the scrolls, and as I handed them out, they just looked at me like, what the heck are you doing here? It's like they had no understanding, and they just took the scroll like this and just held it. I guess they kind of held it or thought they held it. I thought they were holding it because I could see the scrolls. But the issue is they had no understanding of the scroll and the immensity of the stuff that was written on their own personal scrolls. Part of that was because we were firmly engrafted into the age of the church, and our understanding was completely limited in regards to how the heavens operate. Today, the Lord is really opening that up. When I first encountered my scroll, I was actually invited to come to a building which has now produced the Global Ascension Network. But outside of the building, there were these two huge angels, and they opened up a door, and this one being, who was a creature, not an angel, he rolled a scroll down the aisle leading to the very front of what appeared to be like a big auditorium. I had no understanding of what scrolls were back then, but when I set my foot on the scroll, gold Hebrew letters began to appear underneath my feet, running from left to right. I couldn't read Hebrew, I didn't know Hebrew, and they motioned for me to step onto it, and as I stepped on, with each successive row that I stood on, these golden letters would be sucked up into my body and just disappear. Now, at the time, I had no understanding of my pre-knowledge about having a scroll in the heavenly realms, but today I am a living, walking, talking example of a person who has fulfilled everything that was written up until this point on my scroll. And I know that my life is a reflection of whatever I agreed to do with the Lord before I came to the earth. These letters were sucked up into my feet, and from then on, my feet were directed all over the world. Till now, I've gone to over 130 different nations and led tens of thousands of people to Jesus. Not because I'm so powerful, but because I obeyed and I stepped onto my scroll. Hi, I'm Nancy. I just want to thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And if you're interested in lengthy, deeper teachings concerning the mysteries of God, contact us at sons.global and partner with us as we become co-workers and co-creators together with God for the establishment of His kingdom and His righteousness in all the earth.